If you're interested in learning more about electric vehicles, let's have a look at the 2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5 on this episode of The Real DC Car Guy. It's William Westhopper from The Real DC Car Guy, and we're here with the 2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5. This all-electric vehicle is designed as an everyday car. It has up to 300 miles, maybe even 300 plus miles of range, and provides pretty much everything you're going to be wanting in a crossover, whether it be an around town car, whether it be a suburban car, or whether it be a car that goes on road trips. And yes, you can road trip very well in this Ioniq 5. This is Hyundai's next generation of Ioniq. If you remember, in 2017, Hyundai brought out the Ioniq. It was an all-electric, it was a plug-in hybrid, it was a hybrid, and it was an electric vehicle. The original generation Ioniq was much like their Elantra and had a kind of a Prius look to it. Not this Ioniq 5. This Ioniq 5 is an all-new design. It is on Hyundai's e-Global Mobility platform, which it shares with Kia's EV6 and the Genesis GV60. So what do we like about this vehicle? Well, we like the exterior styling. In my eyes, it kind of is reminiscent of the Volkswagen Rabbit of the 1970s and 1980s, very square. It is not very bulbous like many of the current electric vehicles. But what's really cool about this tester is that it is in this flat finish. This is a $1,000 option of the flat finish, and I will say, as cool as it is, it does attract dust. And here we are in the middle of the summer, in the middle of June 2022, and you can see little bits of dust and pollen all over it, so it will need washing. And of course, this finish does not take wax like a shiny finish would, so that's something different. So other things that we like about this vehicle are the wheels. And remember, electric vehicles don't need a lot of openings for the wheels because they don't really want to cool those brakes that much. What they are more interested in is aerodynamics. This Hyundai Ioniq is running on Michelin Primacy Tour AS 20-inch tires, and the tires are wider. They're not the skinny tires of electric vehicles in days gone by. Now, something that another reviewer mentioned to me that he did not like were these little marks around the cladding there. It kind of made it look like you've already scratched up your car. The vehicle does have recessed door handles, which again are something for aerodynamic efficiency. Push the button there. Now, everything on this car seems to be electric. You can feel that there is a mechanical operation of the door handle. Now, I don't really like how this door handle feels. It's just sort of odd. It just doesn't seem right. But the door handles do disappear like they do on many electric cars. Now, you'll notice as you go down the line, very square, and that's good because of interior space. Lots of headroom front and back, which is good. And there's a good amount of cargo room, which is surprising on a vehicle like this. The wheels are spread out toward the edges of the vehicle, which is good. So it's got a nice wide and long wheelbase for it, and very comfortable to drive. Now, the vehicle corners very nicely as well, even with the longer wheelbase that it feels like it has because the wheels are pushed out, and it has plenty of power. And we're in normal mode right here, just nice and smooth acceleration. Now, if I put it up into sport mode, it's really going to be powerful. It's really, you'll really notice in this vehicle is how quiet it is. And it's really, really quiet, much more quiet than any of the other electric vehicles I have been in. And I'm not sure that whether that's sound insulation or whether that's just general engineering of the vehicle, but it's a very quiet vehicle. And on the other side is the sound system, the Bose sound system, and here sounds absolutely great. Much better than any other vehicle that I have been in that has a Bose sound system. So very, very impressed with that. Driving in traffic is good. The vehicle has a heads-up display, which shows you that there are vehicles behind you in your blind spot. You can't really see it on this display, and I tried to take photos of this one. It doesn't work very well, but there's some red circles or red discs that show up when there is a vehicle in your blind spot, and it tells you with a warning triangle. Very good. It also has the speed put out there in digital numbers, as well as a picture of the speed limit sign for the speed that is in the area. The vehicle gives you directions in heads-up display, comes up in green arrows. It also tells you audibly what your directions are. I do find that the controls here are a little slow to operate, or a little slow to respond to the touch. Now the heads-up display is telling me there are people on my right that are right there. Now they've moved right behind me, so it's gone away now. Something that we really like in this vehicle is the fact that it's telling us that there is speed cameras ahead, and it's giving us both a visual sign here on the dash map, but it also gives us an audio.
100 feet speed camera ahead, 30 miles per hour speed limit.
A warning as well, which is very, very helpful in today's busy urban environments where there are speed cameras everywhere, and sometimes where you least expect them. Now let's have a look at the front of the Ioniq 5. It's very simple and clean, very square. You're not seeing any grill opening because it's an electric vehicle. There is air opening down here to cool the batteries. It has these nice pixelated square headlights which sort of follow through in the rear. This area here, this lights up as a driving light and has little mustache lines on it. This area here lights up when you're charging to tell you the state of charge. And this does have a clamshell hood that opens up all along that provides easy access into where the powertrain components are. Now this is an all-wheel drive version, so it has both a front and rear motor. It has the electric skateboard design with the batteries down dead in the center of the vehicle. There is a storage area under the hood in this vehicle, and I'm not even going to call it a frunk, because it is so small. It's almost an afterthought because so many electric vehicle manufacturers today are putting frunks in the front of their vehicle. Hyundai felt that they had to do it as well. You could barely get a laptop in there if you were trying. Honestly, the reason that they have the electric powertrain components up front is to move them out of what would be passenger space. So this vehicle has a lot of interior passenger space and cargo space. So what is the Ioniq like on the inside? Well, there's plenty of room inside. The doors are nice and wide, plenty of space to get in, easy access, especially for a senior or somebody with mobility issues. So let's talk about the inside of the Hyundai Ioniq. Now, there's a lot to like on the inside of this vehicle. First of all, plenty of space to get comfortable in. Now, these aren't the most comfortable seats in a car that I've been in, but they're pretty darn comfortable. The center console, interestingly enough, moves back and forth, which is nice. You have this two 12.3-inch three screens, one the driver dash and one the center console. Now, I'm not a big fan of the white finish in there, but you can change that. It sort of looks like wings that are there, so that's that. But what I really like about this car, and Hyundai and Kia vehicles and Genesis vehicles as well, is when you turn your turn signal on, right at the blind spot, the rear blind spot monitor shows up, the camera shows up right or left, what is right there in that most important part, and that is really key in a tight urban setting and more key than in a suburban setting, or maybe when you're in a parking lot somewhere. It's very, very good. Now the center screen here, the map, it works pretty well, and of course this car does have wireless charging, which is in here, which you can just plug it, just put it right down in here and your device will charge. There are two USB-A ports here. There's a USB port up here. There's also a 12 volt. I still don't know why we have 12 volts. I haven't seen anything that plugged into a 12 volt. And there's certainly no cigarette lighters these days there. There are also 2 USB-A ports for in the rear of the center console for the rear passengers. A separate controls here for the screen and for the HVAC. Now the HVAC are all sort of touch screens here, while the controls for the center dash display are actual buttons. There is a dial here and an up-down controller there. The camera on this vehicle is amazing, and it does a variety of great shots for you. When you're backing up, when you're slow in traffic, it really does help you. They have cameras all around that can really show you what is surrounding your vehicle, which is going to be a big help. You also get a drone view sometimes at a slower speed, which is kind of an interesting aspect. So in general, the inside of the vehicle, very comfortable, giving it a thumbs up. And oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, these seats, these front seats are heated and they're cooled. So I can go onto the screen, and of course everything is controlled by the screen, which I just have a little bit of an issue with, but you go onto the screen there and you can have the cool air blown through these very nicely designed seats. In the rear of the vehicle, it's equally as easy to get in and out, and the seats slide back and forth as well. Now the back seat of the Ioniq 5, there is a lot of leg room. Now the front seat is set where I would normally drive. So what if you wanted more space in the back? Well, guess what? You can slide this seat forward. If you want, you can also recline this seat. Can you believe that? Now the package cover is in the back, so that is stopping it from reclining even more, but you can recline the seat or set it up even straighter. So you've got space there for that, which is nice. Now there's also a little kubi area here. There are 2 USB ports here. There's also 2 magazine pockets. There are assist handles in the back. These are not cooled seats, but there are vents here on the B pillar, which is very nice and very useful, though that brings air into right and left for us. So very, very comfortable. And if you don't want anybody looking in, you can just go ahead and put up your privacy shade on the rear seats. And when the hatch opens, you've got plenty of space in here. You've got a good amount of cargo space. Underneath here, there's really not a whole lot of storage space. There is a space for the charging cable and a space for the tire mobility kit, but that is it. Now, if you want to move the 60/40 rear seats down, you can't do it from back here, which is odd. There's no buttons or anything. You have to go around to the side and open it on the side. Now you can't move the back of the seats down from the cargo area. You have to come around and open the car door, and you move it just like you would move a front seat there. That folds down, folds down. And this is a 60/40. There's 40 on the right side and 60 on the left side. Now I would prefer the 60 on this side just for my personal use, but it is that way. When you go to charge your Ioniq 5, it has a charge door, and there are little buttons, or there's a little area here to push, and you push and you think that'll just do it by touching it. It's not. You have to use the key and hold down the charge door, and it pops up. The charge port does take the CMS charger as well as the 1772, and there are lights here that will tell you the level of charge. And when you plug the vehicle in, it talks to you, say,
Charging started.
I wouldn't say plug the vehicle in late at night if you're in a neighborhood where with all the windows open and people are asleep, because it is loud, though you can control that noise from the center screen. Now, say you're in a tight parking space and you want to move the vehicle out. Hyundai's Smart Park is right here, and it does give you that option. You have to use the key, and the vehicle will move forward on its own into a parking space. Or if you want to park it back, you want to bring it back, it will also return to a parking space. It will back into a parking space. You can see the backup lights are on. It's making the noise. Now it's going to sense there's something behind it, and it's going to stop. So if you like the content you're seeing here on The Real DC Car Guy, we'd love it if you'd give us a thumbs up for this video. Follow us for more content as we produce more and more reviews on different cars and trucks that we think people here in the Washington, D.C. area will be interested in. And as always, we look forward to having you come back and join us on our next episode of The Real DC Car Guy. Until then,